I mean, honestly, the way the schedule sets up, you're facing like nothing but NCAA tournament projected teams except for the Vanderbilt game. Do you like the way the schedule's kind of backloaded to prepare you for the March, or would you rather it be kind of spaced out?
I probably looked at it, the whole thing probably back when it came out, and since then I haven't really looked at it because I don't think it matters this time of year. I think that your objective is to get your team playing as well as you can get it to playing regardless of who you're going to play, and it doesn't matter whether it's front-loaded, back-loaded. It's still about trying to be the best you can be and improve, and so I haven't given that much thought.
How good is P.J. Washington?
He's good. You know, I think the fact that he made the right decision to come back to school and have a chance to continue to work under those guys at the coaching staff of Kentucky, and I think, honestly, I think he's a much improved player than he was a year ago.
Do you watch much tape from the start of the season for Kentucky versus now? Because the defense is so much better, and I wonder if you note that.
I don't. My assistants probably do. I'm pretty much locked in on watching what we do, believe it or not, and I've got so much confidence in our coaching staff that the time they put into scouting, I don't think there's anybody in the country that does any better job, and so they watch as much as they have to watch until they feel like they've got a real feel for our opponent.
What kind of atmosphere you expect? Number one, obviously going on the road as number one team, but now number one team coming into Rupp. What kind of?
I expect it to be like Thompson Bowling Arena. That's what I expect.
Rick, talk about the significance of this game, not the least of which being it's a chance for you guys to distance yourselves a little bit from Kentucky in the standings.
Well, again, believe me, our guys know that and all that, but we're really concentrating on what we got to do to go up there and play good basketball and understand they're a different team in some ways than a year ago. You know, they're shooting the ball. They start a group of guys where in the past we could maybe pack it back in there some. With this group, it's hard to do that because of their perimeter game. And again, regardless of all the outside things that people want to talk about, it's still about us keeping our eyes focused on what we have to do with our game plan and execution.
Rick, did you learn anything from the LSU game and what they were able to do to Kentucky?
Well, no, we play totally different than LSU. We're a different team than them, and we all know each other this time of year, and I don't think there's going to be any surprises. I mean, we'll have a pretty good feel. They're going to have a good feel, and it's going to get down to execution.
Coach, when you go into an environment like you're going into tomorrow night, just how much of a benefit is it to have 2 seniors and 3 juniors in your starting line, and Jordan coming off the bench?
Well, I've said it many times. We've been in some big basketball games over the last 3 years with these guys, and they've grown, and you like to feel that, hey, they'll be ready for it. I mean, there's no reason for me not to believe they will, because they've been able to handle some tough situations even this year, and again, experience is a good thing, believe me, it really is. But you look at the Kentucky team, they're a much different team, going back to your question, Jimmy, than they were early in the year. They're a totally different team than they were back 90 days ago, and I hope that we are too. But I do know that both of us have a chance to get better, and I'm sure they're preaching the same thing we're preaching.
Talked before about this team likes being on the road. Why do you think that is? How rare is that?
Well, I think that the fact that again, there's probably less distractions on the road because once we get there, we've done the same thing that we've done on the road for 4 years now, and we're going to practice, get on the bus, get off, have a meal, have our meeting tomorrow morning. They'll be in the hotel tonight, whereas if they're at home, they might be hanging out with Tom somewhere, who knows, but I don't know where he takes them. But now, they're like that, and so when they're in the hotel, they spend time together. They're there all together, and and then tomorrow, obviously, our shoot around, and from there, it's time to play. And I don't know if that has anything to do with it, other than the fact, again, that we are an older team. But I said coming back home doesn't matter unless we lock in on what we have to do, and I'd say the same thing going on the road tomorrow.
Coach, in the post game, you mentioned the other day that some of the guys didn't hustle back to your liking in transition. Is that a new thing, or is that something that you guys have?
Well, I mean, every game you're going to look at something, but you got to give South Carolina credit. They were playing faster than. Well, they played fast the first game. They were really getting it out, putting it on top of us quickly, and it went back to where it's an emphasis, but that is every game. The first thing that goes up on our board every game is transition defense, and we'll have to do a good job with it tomorrow. Or they're great. They turn you over. You take bad shots. they capitalize probably as well as any team that we play. They're really good at capitalizing on those situations.
Eve only played 3 minutes the other night. Was that because of Jalen Johnson playing good minutes, or were you hoping to get Eve more?
A little bit of both, but Eve working his way back. He had missed a couple days, but we're going to need him. We're going to need he and Jalen. We're going to need them all tomorrow, as we always do.
It's been a while since you've played a game that went down to the wire. The last several games by double digits. How sharp do you think y'all are heading into the stretch?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. I mean, I think they're all close games myself, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I don't think we go into any game expecting to win by big numbers, even though that we've been able to do that some. But I know we got a healthy respect for our opponents in this league and how good this league is, but we'll just see how it plays out and see how we handle a lot of different things.
Coach, they've been by a wide margin the best rebounding team in the league, almost plus 8. In light of that, how critical is it that Kyle stays out of foul trouble?
Well, that's important, but it's important as our team that we rebound the ball. But I would say that whether we were playing Kentucky or anybody, we've got to rebound the ball better. Our guys know that, and we're going to have to do it because they're really good at keeping the ball alive, and they've got guys, 1 or 2 guys in there all the time that are really fighting to get it. So we're going to have to be very conscious of all 5 of our guys going down there to help rebound it.
Rick, do you think maybe that the novelty of playing big games is kind of worn off with this bunch, and now it's just about business?
Well, I'd like to think that we're just I think 7, 8 games left in the regular season, and by now you should be used to a lot of different things. And I know they see the hype. You can't help but see it around this game, but hopefully it's going to be more, bigger ones. And but I don't think this game is going to define our season or Kentucky's. I mean, there's still too much basketball played to do that. It's a big game because it's the next one on our schedule, and it's a big game for them because it's the next one on their schedule.
Do you think your guys maybe are in a better position now to not let that stuff affect them, to not to kind of just treat it like another game instead of maybe a year ago when this stuff was kind of new to them?
Well, I mean, a year ago this time we were pretty much locked into what we had to do. I mean, you go back this time last year is when we really started playing really good basketball together. Everybody seemed to have found their niche, and so I don't know. Those are questions that, again, I think our guys have been locked in. I don't think we would be where we are if they weren't locked in, and I have no reason to believe they're not going to stay locked in.
I know it's always usually consistency with a lot of guys, but what's keeping Derek Walker from playing more?
Sometimes it's hard to play a lot of guys, but the fact is what Derek has done, he's continued to keep himself sharp, so when we do need him, like I don't think you go back to the South Carolina game, he and Jalen hadn't played very much. They came in and did what they needed to do for us, and that's why we're a team. Some nights you'll be called on, some nights you might not be, but where he's been a great teammate is that he's continued to do his work in practice, and we'll need him. I mean, again, we got a lot of basketball left, and we need all these guys, and they know that, and I really respect them for how hard they work. The guys that don't play as much, how hard they work to keep themselves game ready.
Rick, do you think there have been times when you've built up leads in recent games where you lost focus a little bit, whether that was offense or defense?
Probably, yeah. I don't think there's any question. I mean, that's something we talk about, and it only takes 2 possessions for a lead to go from 18, down to 12, and or less. And it could be a bad pass. It could be not getting back in transition defense. It could be a lot of different things, and but the game can swing that quickly, and whether you want to call it focus, whether you want to call it taking things for granted, whatever you want to call it, I mean, those things happen, and that's what you're always battling as a coaching staff, to hope guys understand the importance of every possession and fighting for it, but just doing your job.
Coach, Jordan Bowden one of the most efficient offensive players in the league, and he just seems so much more aggressive. What do you think the key has been to unlocking that?
Well, he needed to be. I mean, that's something that, really it started a year ago that we wanted him to do that, and I just hope he will continue to do it. And it's, he was a guy that we talked to for a long time to get to that mindset. We need him to continue to do it.
Rick, this is the first top 5 matchup for SEC programs, I believe, in over a decade. I know for you guys it's just the next game, but can you kind of step back and appreciate the magnitude of a game like this for the league?
Well, again, yes, this time it's hard for me to step back other than to see what's right in front of us. But again, that's great. It's great for our league. I think it's great. Now, our league, again, I'm hoping this year that we can get 8, 9 teams in the NCAA tournament is what I'm hoping. And that's why these next 2 weeks, 3 weeks are important for everybody. And But I don't think there's any question our league is probably as good as it's ever been. When you think about two teams that are at the bottom lost two guys that are, first-round draft picks. And if you would have thrown those guys into the mix, and even Texas A&M losing really an all-conference player in Armand Gilder, this league is a terrific basketball league. And so I'm happy for our league. I really am, because I know how far we've come in 4 years, but I know how far this league has come too. And so it's, again, if you're an SEC fan, you got to be happy with it.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Rick.